What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another chance encounter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building.
I have a Canadian for us today. Terrie, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic, especially because I have my very favorite audience member here today. And why do I have my favorite audience member? It's because this is a commercial real estate investment program called Chance Encounters. I interview syndicators, operators, and investors. And why do I do that? Well, part of it is because it's the law. The bigger thing, though, is that you have to find out if there's overlap between your business and other people in the industry. Terrie, as I mentioned, is Canadian. So, Terrie, you want to introduce yourself real quick before I get too excited?
Sure. So I'm Terry. I've been investing for about 20 years. And at a certain point, I started a management company because I realized that that was kind of going to be my secret sauce. So some people do renovations, some people are like, like you say, financiers. Really, I've been wearing the management cap for most of my career. So yeah, and I wrote a book called The Mindful Landlord, which came out actually this year, the second edition, which kind of helps people understand how to do real estate without getting frazzled. So that's integrating kind of the mindfulness performance aspect with investing.
I absolutely love it. And so before we get too excited, though, I'm going to hit this, and then I need to go over to my thing that's over here. And you'll notice that it says, but wait, check your eight. And so, like, if it's a clock, of course, it's for the audience. For you, it's the five. Can you check under here? Can you see if the audience has one of those awful red buttons, or is it gray? It's down to your lower left, or you can't quite make
Um,
it out.
I don't have that on this one.
Oh, okay, great. But anyway, it's that's the subscribe button, and the audience really should subscribe. But anyway, first thing I like to do is I like to go through the five different distinct motivations among commercial real estate investors because that tells me what I really need to know in order to figure out how somebody fits into the business and also how they're going to actually like what they're getting out of it. So the first motivation, it's not my one. It's some people are here because they're trying to preserve their purchasing power. And what that's all about is if you already have a portfolio of assets and the cash flow, in other words, profits from those assets are what you use to make ends meet, well, when inflation rears its ugly head, you're going to have to borrow against your assets to make new acquisitions. And then that way you keep the party going. So that's what some people are up to. That is not my main concern. My big one is that because I got this background in tech, I've owned a CRM agency since 2011. So because of that, I'm going like, well, if I just earn a lot in wages or salary, then I'm paying more in tax than anybody else. So how can I pivot to make sure that I'm getting the best possible answer? And the answer is to find ways to earn equity rather than just straight out wage. So that's what I'm up to in commercial real estate. But a lot of people, they get into this because they want to either leave the door open for retirement or they want to fast track it or take over their schedule a little bit more, take control of their time. And maybe it's just fewer working fewer months per year or fewer weeks per month or whoever, but that's what they're up to. Whereas the next two groups, they're not looking to shift down; they're looking to hustle into their 90s. Like these guys here, they want to buy their entire hometown. They really want to make sure that they have that generational wealth to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold down a day job. But the last motivation that where they'll also end up hustling into their 90s is some people have picked a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment, maybe it's animals, who knows what it is, but they realize that you have to get your financial situation very, very, very buttoned up if you're going to make a disproportionately large impact on society. So, of those five different definitions or motivations, Terrie, what really describes you best? What combination of those sounds like you?
Yeah. So I think a bit of one and a bit of five.
Hmm.
So, I think for me, real estate is it's a tool to financial freedom.
Mhm.
And so like I, started my career, the first 10 years basically took me to where I was living on my cash flow.
Mhm.
And then once I realized the power of syndication, and optimizing and that, then I was able to up the amount of money that I was making. So I think that's, but it's a bit of a one, right? Because like really, like I'm a manager, I'm an operator. That's my secret sauce, is to take over buildings, properties that are not running well, and then try to bring the level up. And I also work in affordable housing. So
Mhm.
I invest in areas of the city that a lot of people don't want to invest in. And I really try to like bring the properties up to a level that is honestly better for the residents. And, if I do raise my rents, because I think everybody raises rents a bit, I don't renovate and double them.
Mhm.
I still keep my units accessible to people who are in need of affordable housing, but I try to like provide a better standard of living for those people. And that's, as I see, my career going forward, that's the segment that I want to keep working in.
All right, beautiful. So the next question then, it's a little bit of a weird one. Normally, I prep people a little bit better for this, so I apologize for this. It's a tolerance of risk assessment, and this is a fill in the blanks. I could get. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to nail this one. So I'm sorry. The fill in the blank is there are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. So anything that people invest in because they want to make more money because they do it, where you're just like, that's too risky, I'm not touching it. What do
Can
you
I
got?
pick two? Like, first of
Sure.
all, like cryptocurrency.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the second one would be like, there's a right now the Canadian market has been crazy for the last 2 years, and
Oh yeah.
so the sort of like flip, like renovate, borrow a bunch of private money, strip the whole building, and try to rent units for twice what they were renting at before. Just not my jam.
Mhm.
And today, I don't think that's something that I would put money into.
All right. I love it. I love it. It makes absolutely perfect sense. So, the next question, then, getting specifically to commercial real estate, is the Dan Does Deals commercial roll die with the 6 different major roles. And if you want your own copy of this, I actually don't even ask for your email like a complete dummy from a marketing perspective. You should always ask for the email, but I don't, because I want you to print this out. I want you to show it to your friends and family, and I want you to be able to effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate. So I go through these 6 different roles every single time so that you know how my guest fits into this industry. So let's first talk about what's a repositioner. A repositioner is an acquisitions person. So they're looking at a bunch of different properties, doing a bunch of different paperwork. And what are they doing when they do that? Well, the repositioner is an acquisitions person. So that means they're talking to sellers. And so the first priority is they're going to have to go through like this paperwork. The fancy word is underwriting. So that just means doing the math. So they have to find out, is this property even actually making the amount of money that the seller claims it is? And then on top of that, the repositioning part of the term repositioner, sometimes like it's not the most common word in this industry, but it means how can you change the property to find more upside? And there are 3 main tools in the tool belt to find that upside. The first, simplest one, if you can pull it off, is to get more advantageous lending from your financiers. Financiers being people who only deal in paper and money. But that's a relationship thing. Maybe you won't be able to pull that off. So normally repositioners are looking to the operations team to cut some expenses, to stop those Benjamins from going down the toilet. In our case, I know that in Canada, all the money smells like maple syrup, so whatever. But there's more to operations than just unclogging toilets and collecting rents and mowing lawns and taking out trash, all that kind of fun stuff. There's also a marketing component, which is one of my strong suits. And the value of that is keeping the vacancy rate low. But with my programming background and all that kind of stuff, I'm also involved in all sorts of operations or whatever, like different automations. But really, operations, you're only going to get so far. You're not reinventing the wheel here. So that's probably not enough upside for the repositioner. So they often have to get a contractor team, like Terrie was just describing, where they rip the place apart, replace the countertops, bits and bobs, to make the place a lot nicer so that the next tenant will be happy to pay more in rent. So that's the upside on that. But if the repositioner has the same problem that I do, which is I'm from the internet, I'm going to need locals. You need boots on the ground, somebody who can be there in an hour or two, because that's not going to be me, at least in America anyway, because then I'd be, in an hour or two, I'd be at the airport. So you need somebody nearby. Now that looks like the ownership team, but if you turn around to a bank or a financier and say, hey, yeah, I got my deal, I got my team, This property I'm looking to take over, it's worth tens of millions of dollars. So do you happen to have, say, tens of millions of dollars you want to lend me for this? And then the financier is going to have one question on their mind that hasn't been answered yet, and that is, dun, 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 who's your KP? Who's your sponsor? And what that's all about is if you want to be eligible for a commercial loan, then somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset. So even if your name is Elon Musk, if you want to take over a 300 unit apartment complex, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset, or you won't be eligible for the loan. Now, the only other two bits left are you need a certain amount of liquidity, and then also you need a balance sheet among the GP team of at least the amount of the loan. But if you got all those pieces in America, you've got a commercial real estate deal. So, Terrie, as far as your fortes go, you mentioned that the operations piece is what you're really kicking butt at, and that's where your secret sauce is going to be. Is there more you want to expand on what your core competencies are or what you bring to deals?
Yeah, I mean, really, like that's kind of the hat that I started with. And, as my business scales, I'm now having to hire other managers because it's getting a bit too big for my business. And I also invest outside of my local market. So obviously at that point you need to manage the manager. But at the same time, like I feel like the power of that is that it's kind of low investment. It's a bit labor and like stress intensive, which is why the book, The Mindful Landlord, because I think like that's a kind of a, low upfront down payment way of making money in real estate. But you have to, really have your systems and your mind frame in place so that it doesn't eat you. And that means, managing communications and then also having a clear line in your mind of the money versus human aspects, right? Because like that's a place where as a landlord, you can become very greedy, and that on the ground might look like transforming your community in a negative way. And so for me, like part of my doing business has been to understand what is my role as a landlord, what is my role as an operator, and what kind of effect do I want to have on the community? So
I love it. I love it. So that brings us to the ideal property or the buy box. So when commercial investors, syndicators are talking about their ideal property or their buy box, there's three main parts of that. First one's geography. So what states, what provinces, what city, what counties, what neighborhood is even possibly in there? Because we're talking about what properties are easier to say yes to and more difficult to say no to. Second one is the size. We're talking about multifamily, so usually the size is counted by unit count. Okay, if you're talking about industrial or warehousing, it'll be square footage, but the number of units is going to give you the indication of the size, and then there are different sweet spots for different investors. The third one is called class, and unfortunately, they use the exact same word for two different things. The first one, it's the condition of the building. So is it old? Is it new? Is it beat up? Is it, no frills? Is it luxurious? Okay, that's one version of class. The second meaning of class has to do with the area that the property is located in. So what's the crime rate like? What are the school districts like? Those are the two different meanings of class, and both of them, just like in grade school, is how they're rated. So it's like a B minus or like a C plus or like an A and so on like that. So Terrie, as far as properties that where somebody has it in hand and they're looking for somebody who's competent and wants to take over, what's your ideal property? What you looking for?
So it's really very simple. Like I invest in, two or three districts of Montreal that are definitely lower working class. There's also another Trois-Rivières, like another city that's about an hour and a half out, which is a working class city. And so like those are my sweet spots geography wise. I tend to do like, I guess, smaller medium-sized properties, so 10 to 8 to 20 doors, let's say. And then in terms of class, like I don't like buildings that are built 100 years ago. I prefer 60s 70s constructions, not necessarily more recent. I just required a more recent thing, but generally something that's got some wear under its belt. And I like no frills, because construction is kind of not my thing. Managing construction guys is not my thing. So I have handymen who are able to like go in and, keep the unit at a functional, clean level, but I'm not looking for anything more than functional and clean.
Beautiful, beautiful. And then my next question has to do with who you're uniquely suited to help. So everybody, because of the multifaceted nature of this business, everybody has their core competencies, but it also means that we're always building teams and we're always looking for somebody, or we're disproportionately prepared to help some people. So me, I'm always on the lookout for more sponsors and KPs because of my marketing and digital background. So they're the people who I can really help because I'm fuel to the fire with my CRM background. Whereas when you're first getting started, you don't have that foundation. You need grunts, okay? You need people to put in super long hours every single week. And me, I'm more of the brain side to figure out how to scale things up because I've got so much experience with that. But Terry, for you, who are you best suited to help? I know that I usually remind people that if you have a 506B non-public deal, then don't go enticing investors, which sounds like you're waving a donut in their face or something. But I don't know what the deal is with Canada, but don't break the law, please. Who are you looking for?
No, we have similar rules. It's I don't know the English word, but in fact, it's the IMF, which looks polices investing. But I mean, basically, my business model is I'm more of a coach. And so usually I get involved with people when they've maybe bought a condo, but they want to get into multifamily investing. And, I do offer coaching packages. So sometimes I just, hold people's hands through the learning process that it takes. And then I do partner with people on deals like that. But it ends up being people that I'm like very closely involved with. Like, it's not like you walk in the door of my office and all of a sudden I'm going to offer you equity in a deal. No. Like, probably I'm going to either manage a property you have, we're going to do some intensive coaching. And then when we see that we have the right fit to partner, like, I attained financial independence some time ago, and I'm not looking to do quick deals and make quick money and have a lot of headaches. So, I know there's like some guys who like to go fast and loose. I'm happy with where I am. And it's more at this point about helping people and growing the portfolio, like in a slow way, and watching other people succeed and be able to enjoy the kind of profits that I've had from investing in real estate. And to go on the growth process, because for me, like, it's all about growing and becoming better. And then, ultimately, maybe you end up providing affordable housing and helping the community with that. And so really win, and helping people like grow in the industry, let's say.
And speaking of which, if people want to reach out to you, I know we met through LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a fantastic way to meet me because it's the best spot where I'm constantly bugging people. I don't know if you have a website or a phone number or something that's better, but what's the best way for people to reach out if you're a good fit?
Yeah, LinkedIn is really my social media of choice. Otherwise, I have the website of my book, so it's mindfullandlord.com. I also have a business website, terrieschauer.com, but I think more of the recent stuff I'm doing is on Mindful Landlord. So.
All right, beautiful. And then the only thing left, it's actually not for you, it's for you in the audience, which is, once again, if you look under my QR code, like, don't stare too closely just because there might be this big ugly red button staring at you, and it sears your eyeballs. And so quickly you need to grab your mouse and you need to click on that red button, because then it turns into the gray button of tranquility, which has many magical powers. The most important of which is it means that YouTube might start paying for these videos instead of me. And you want that, right? Actually, what it really means, all jokes aside, it just means that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. There's no cost involved or anything like that. It doesn't ask for your email, any of that silliness. And you can go ahead and ignore those other videos that show up in your list of suggestions, because I just appreciate the fact that you joined me today. Just like Terry, I appreciate you spending the time with me today. This has been great getting to know you a bit better.
Thank you, Dan. It's been fun.
Awesome.
Thanks. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me. Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser. Okay. Are you already logged into 506BME?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506B me, everybody.